Veterans getting deported? How is that even possible?
There are men and women who have served our country and put their lives on the line, but because they weren't born here, they can't call America home. When the service ends, some are being deported and going to a land that they barely even know. America is their home.
Hello and welcome to the Prepare to Compete podcast. We talk all things VA benefits, real estate, entrepreneurship, and more. And I'm your host, Kavon Jones, civilian patriot and co-host of your Prepare to Compete podcast.
And I'm Kenneth Davis, CEO of Veterans for Veterans, Operation Iraqi Freedom Veteran, Operation Enduring Freedom Veteran. We're here now to be able to provide you some of the best news in regards to VA benefits,
real estate,
and entrepreneurship.
So Kenneth, man, how you feeling today, man? We have a wonderful topic for them. We've been away from the people for a while, but definitely want to touch bases on this important and essential topic here.
So we have a really great topic today. I'm really excited about it. But before we get started, I do want to take a moment of silence for those fallen soldiers and heroes who are not here today over the passing of Memorial Day weekend. I know it's a much needed R&R for, again, their families out here and children alike. But again, we want to also recognize and honor the day that we actually are having off federally and acknowledge amongst, again, Americas. But at the end of the day, these heroes have actually fallen for our freedom. So let's take a moment of silence before we get to starting the show and start moving forward. All right. So with that said, we have a great topic I think we're going to be rolling into today. Obviously, we're talking about, as always, right, the ones who serve us. So really excited about it. And again, please tune in and continue to support the channel. We really are here for you guys. And if at any point in time that you guys need the support, we're here for you.
Absolutely. So definitely want to set the stage for this topic because unfortunately, some people may just think it's clickbait of what we're talking about regarding the deportation of veterans. However, this is something that's going on in our nation, and we really want to provide some valuable and much needed information regarding this topic here. So now, Kenneth, most people assume when we're talking about deportation, that means the end of all government support. Now, is that really the case for our veterans here?
Well, no, not necessarily, right? When we're talking about, again, veterans being deported, they're truly men and women who have served our country, right, and put their lives on the line, but are still having access to benefits that are afforded to them. And we want to make sure that, again, that we unpack that because not only can be awarded the benefits, but there's, again, ways where you don't have to actually come back to the States to be able to be awarded those benefits. So we're going to kind of navigate those complexities and understand why veterans are even being deported. Right.
Absolutely. So now, can you walk us through what happens to a veteran when they're deported and what does that just look like in real life?
Oh, man. Well, listen, in real time, we have to understand that, though veterans are our heroes in our country, we also have to acknowledge that some veterans are not naturalized, right? They are not a U.S. citizen. They're able to come to the States and join the military and serve our beautiful country here and also protect our beautiful country. However, if you do not go through the naturalization process during service, okay, you are still an illegal alien, okay? Well, not illegal, I'm sorry. You are still an alien that is not naturalized of a foreign state, okay? So with that being said, we must understand that, and we also must understand that each veteran's circumstance is a little bit different, all right? Some have children here, some have family here, some have businesses even here. However, how could that even be possible? And you're not a U.S. citizen. Well, when you join the military, you are able to have the same afforded rights and benefits as a United States citizen.
Now, Kenneth, can you walk us through what happens to veterans who are deported? Like, what does that really look like in real life?
Yeah. I mean, understanding that veterans can be deported, right? Which is a very shocking ordeal. All right. You serve this country, you sacrifice, and it's a painful thing to talk about when we're talking about our veterans who actually served our country here. Right. I spoke with a lot of veterans who have been deported, and let me tell you, it's not an easy feeling because they feel empty inside because they have served our country for many years and do not have the actual proper resources or the proper support to be able to get through some of the ordeals that veterans go through overseas. Right. So, but again, they serve their sacrifice. But just because they weren't naturalized in that process, at that point, they then can be removed from the United States. So you need to kind of go through the process of being naturalized to be a U.S. citizen so you can actually be able to, obviously stay here in this country. All right. But what other veteran you think isn't for the U.S.? When we're talking about what other person that you think would be more for the U.S. than a United States veteran who served in the Army, who served in the Navy, who served in the Air Force, who served, period. I think that's a hard question to answer, but I mean, the government sets the rules but we must follow them. And that's kind of where we are, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you would think service up for the country would be a golden stamp of citizenship at the highest level of the commitment that they made for our country. And there are, people that are born in the United States that aren't willing to do that, right? So, that willingness and that commitment to service and to still be deported, has to, cause a very tough relationship with America and really just kind of understanding what's going on and the actual reasoning and details behind why that would happen, right? So, with that, we kind of get into some of the jurisdictions, right? When we're talking about things as far as, we hear a lot in the news about ICE, but you have that, and we'll go into that. But you also have your VA jurisdiction as well. Okay, so definitely you need to understand it. It's going to be two different kind of jurisdictions and things going on there. But again, people don't often understand that there's going to be a split between immigration enforcement and veteran affairs. So, Kenneth, what I want you to break down is the role of ICE versus the role of the VA.
Great. Absolutely. So ICE is, again, strictly immigration and customs enforcement, right? So obviously they're handling any type of illegal violations of immigration. So with understanding that if you are falling into the categorization or the agency's jurisdiction, they must abide by those rules and regulations. But when we're talking about the VA is a separate federal agency, two totally different agencies. And again, probably not talking to one another, but however, it doesn't matter because if you're a veteran, unfortunately, you're a veteran forever. Okay, I'm sorry, fortunately, you're a veteran forever. But what's unfortunate is that you're a veteran that still can be deported because you don't abide by the rules and regulations of ICE. So again, being a veteran, let's say you're a veteran from the Philippines who actually have family here and you was not naturalized while in service. Well, you can be able to go through the VA to receive all your benefits, however, be deported the next day because you don't abide by the jurisdictions or the regulations and rules that ICE has set in place.
Got it. So now with that, with some veterans may be wondering, watching this, is that they may be in fear of actually applying for their VA benefits with the misnomer and misunderstanding that, hey, if I expose myself to applying for these benefits, the VA may deport me and report me to ICE.
Yeah. So that and great question. So That's not the VA's job. The VA's job is to be able to validate your discharge status, service, and so on and so forth. We can go down the laundry list of items that the VA will be able to do, take care of for you as a veteran. Okay, the benefits that they're offered. However, it is not their job to be able to report a non-citizen veteran, right? That is not their job. Their job is to be able to focus on garnering and gaining the benefits for the veteran who have served our country. So if you're afraid because you think that you're going to be deported based upon your veteran status, I deem not to be so. Okay? Go to get your benefits, go get access, and go get access quickly.
Absolutely. So we just want to make sure this is clear. So the VA is not deporting anybody. For those that kind of think that, hey, the VA may have something to do with it, the VA is not entangled in any deportation, is what you're explaining.
From my understanding, okay? Now, if something comes up, don't come to Veterans for Veterans. Say, hey, weren't you the person that said the VA wasn't deported? As of right now, that is nothing that we are aware of, okay? Again, you can go into any rules or regulations, guidelines in regards to the CFR or what have you, and look up deportation standards, and I'm sure the VA does not come up.
Absolutely, yeah, because when you think about it, well, if they would report the information of veterans, would they do the same for active duty, right? When you're kind of thinking about it in terms of it, where we're saying now, hey, now that you reach your veteran status and served this country, you're worried about getting deported. What happened if you would have just stayed active duty? Are you kind of exempt from ICE at that point?
That's a great question. I would presume there is no exemption. However, there is also, a need for you, right? So having that need for you, I think, is going to be greater than being deported.
Absolutely. Definitely makes sense there for sure, because there may be a lot of veterans from other countries that feel abandoned. So now what we want to talk about, we loosely mentioned VA benefits. What kind of benefits do they have access to?
You have access to your VA disability compensation, medical care, your education benefits. You have an array of benefits that are offered to you. The VA home loan is probably offered into certain jurisdictions in certain countries that may, again, be part of the U.S., but not totally within the U.S., right? You have certain places like the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and obviously these are U.S. jurisdictions, but essentially not of the states. All right. However, again, you have authorization to be able to use all your benefits offered to you.
No, absolutely. So now when we're speaking about this, we're referring to the non-naturalized veterans who are no longer living in the United States, right? Because, of course, if they were still living in the United States, wouldn't be a question. You would definitely be able to receive all your VA benefits without any problem, and also access your VA loan and things.
True indeed. And I'll tell you now, there's also medical facilities overseas that are VA jurisdictions that you can be able to utilize, because you want to make sure that you're utilizing all your benefits. And I can tell you, medical care is one of the number one benefits that is underutilized by veterans. So again, if there is a VA authorized jurisdiction, medical center, clinic, hospital, in your country outside of the U.S., please go visit that hospital, medical center, or clinic, or whatever, okay? If you're able to receive your medical care, go receive it.
Absolutely. And that kind of gets into what are some of the limitations, right? As far as receiving benefits, you start talking a little bit about the health care. Obviously, depending on which country you're in, it may not have access to certain facilities. So can you speak more to, what may be some limitations of our veterans living abroad when it comes to accessing their VA benefits?
Fantastic. So there may be limitations to facilities, right? Medical centers, hospitals, clinics, or anything of that nature. So you may not be able to receive the medical care or your medical needs that's going to be covered by the VA. However, there's other benefits that could be able to cover that. Okay, there's offers that you can be able to cover that. We can go over that in our next video in regards to what forms that you actually need and how to kind of navigate that process. Okay, however, there may be, again, an opportunity to be able to receive your VA disability compensation. Being a deported veteran, how is that even possible? Well, there's access to facilities that you can be seen to be able to do your compensation and pension exams. You can be able to provide your medical evidence to the VA, and they can be able to determine your severity of injury based upon your medical evidence provided, as long as you're actually going through the proper procedures that they're requesting to ask of you. Okay. Being overseas, sometimes you're able to, outside of your country or jurisdiction, there may be another VA facility that you can travel to be able to get treated or seen. Okay. However, that is going to be able to put you in a position to be able to receive your disability compensation. And that's how you're able to do so.
Understood. So now when we're talking about the resources for veterans overseas, so I want to continue to definitely paint a picture here. So if I am a deported vet living in, let's say, Mexico or the Philippines, where do I begin, right? Who can actually help guide me through the process of receiving my VA benefits?
Fantastic. First and foremost, I will always tell any veteran to use va.gov, right? That is your first stop. Okay, that's your first stop. And then you can actually find VA liaisons outside of your country located, okay? But also, you can also be able to find any type of VA service organizations to be able to assist as well. All right. Now those organizations are going to point you in the right direction of what facilities that you're able to be able to receive treatment for to be able to actually access your benefits. Okay. So it really depends. There's also nonprofits that are actually dedicated to veterans as well to be able to service you. But never forget, we're here to service you as well. Okay. We could be able to, again, assist you and navigate that information with you, and we'll be able to get you where you need to go at the highest level.
Absolutely. No, great information there. So now there are cases when VA benefits are being denied, right? So we want to kind of get into the different nuance of that and the legal risks associated with it. So, Kenneth, what I want to ask here is, what are some situations where deported veterans lose their eligibility completely?
So there's a few reasons why veterans can lose their benefits. Again, by all means, we want to make sure that we understand that when we're talking about losing your benefits, we mean it in a way of you're utilizing your service-connected disability benefits. Okay, you're going to lose that. Okay, that compensation every single month. But now, again, obviously dishonorable discharge, where you're going to be even barred from benefits for that period of service. Okay, you can be barred from benefits. Okay, where you don't get anything. All right, fraudulent claims. That's a big one, right? Again, the OIG is constantly doing checks on different files. And again, that's another video we'll talk a little bit more about, okay, the OIG. Who are those, right? Again, we'll talk about that department as well. But then also felony incarceration, right? Again, being incarcerated with a felony, that's how you can actually also limit your benefits. Okay. Typically, again, when we're talking about limiting your benefits under a felony, I'll give you one quick insight, is that your benefits can actually be reduced to 10% from let's say you're receiving 100% disability and you're incarcerated with a felony. Now you can actually, you lose your benefits, and they will actually decrease it to 10%.
Wow, wow. What? Wait a minute. So that's important on a lot of levels here. So now you're telling me whether you're a deported veteran or whether you're, still as a U.S. citizen, as a felony conviction, you could still receive VA benefits?
Yeah. We definitely can be able to still be able to receive VA benefits, even though you're, again, a convicted felon or incarcerated. However, I will tell you that there are certain circumstances that may not always apply. But again, for a regular basis, if you're again a convicted felon or a incarcerated veteran, you still can receive benefits. But there's other ways to be able to access the benefits as well. Just because you're not receiving doesn't mean the others don't have access to receive them, because now your dependents can be able to access those benefits as well. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in another video where we can unpack that, truly unpack that, where incarcerated veterans can be a high source of compensation benefits that they deserve because they actually, again, was awarded it.
Absolutely, yeah. And for those who are watching and listening, please reach down in the comments. Let us know if you are interested in learning more about that topic or some other topics. We are going to make a full video on that, but if we're able to provide you with some resources and information now, definitely let us know. We'll love to reach out to you to be able to provide you with that information.
Yeah, true indeed. Because I'll tell you right now, there are so many veterans who are missing out and who are not barred from benefits, okay? And just because you're deported does not mean you're barred from benefits.
Absolutely. And that kind of gets to our next point here, right? Because we want to talk about justice now. So we want to know, are there any efforts to bring these veterans who've been deported back home?
Yes. There are growing organizations as legislators who are out here that are trying to pass bills that are actually going to repatriate veterans and actually have them back home as citizens. However, obviously we know our government and we know the process, right? Nothing is fast. So with that being said, we want to especially focus on those deported and non-violent offenses to be able to get those veterans back in safe hands of our jurisdiction of the United States of America, so we can make sure that we're taking care and serving our veterans who served us. Because again, at the end of the day, these are our heroes, and now we are having our citizens sprinkled all around the world. Okay, they fought for this country, so we need to still protect them.
Absolutely. So, as we kind of close out this video here, Kenneth, thank you for all the detailed information here. And now, what is one thing that the viewers should take away from this conversation? And where do people go to learn more about this epidemic of veterans being deported and, so they can really understand how they could really support this cause?
And I'll leave with this. Let's not forget. Let's not forget our fallen heroes. Let's not forget our fallen soldiers, airmen, seamen. And let's not forget our deported veterans. Just because they're not in our country doesn't mean they're not still brothers and sisters of arms. If you're watching and if you know someone who was deported and is looking for assistance, we can still be able to look into some access to benefits for you. You can be able to call our number here at the down below the video, and we'll be able to provide you or at least point you in the right direction where you need to go. So please, as veterans and as patriots, let's not forget.
Absolutely, Kenneth. Really appreciate that. And yeah, they definitely need to understand that, hey, you're not alone here. We're all in the fight here together. We support you, and we definitely want to work to, provide all veterans with the benefits that they've earned and they deserve. So, Kenneth, as we send them out today, definitely thanks again, and continue to prepare to compete. We're out. Peace.